Hi everyone, and thank you so much again for joining us on another episode of Scranton Talks. As most of you probably know already, my name is Desiree Zielinski, and I am the co-founder of the Independent Film Creative Hub and of NEPA's Film Society, as well as the organizer of the Mystery Box Film Challenge.
And my name is Luz Cabrales, and I am the co-founder of the Independent Creative Hub and founder of Scranton Films. We're very excited to have another Scranton Talks, and we're very excited as well to be bringing it on a couple of social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and all of our pages. So if you follow it, you can get notifications for other talks when we create the event. So make sure the Independent Creative Hub, I have put here, become a member today of our Creative Hub. We are here for you. We are here to help you out with whatever projects you have, maybe put you into the right direction and get you the talent that you need for your films or your projects. So become a member today of the Creative Hub. I think it's a great initiative that Desiree and I have to be able to help filmmakers in the area thrive, and maybe some young filmmakers that are just starting out doing creative stuff. We're here to support you. But before that, we have a couple updates this month. So Desiree, tell us about what new stuff we have.
Yeah, so we're bringing back NEPA Film Society's meetings. We did a couple of virtual film meetups back when the pandemic started, kind of put a hiatus on that for a little bit. And now we're going to look at bringing them back again. We're hopefully going to bring back another meetup in April as part of the Independent Film Creative Hub, where you'll be able to hang out virtually for now and talk about what projects you're working on currently and how we can all help each other.
Yes, and another great update to kick off before we start doing all the virtual events, which Desiree is part of the NEPA Film Society. As you know, we did last year, we did the Oscars viewing party, which was,
that was fun.
It was fun. About 3 people showed up and about 2 of them left, but it was pretty good. You know, we had a good time, and just watching the Oscars. If you have nothing better to do than to hang out with us, I mean,
just hang out with us and have fun and just talk about who won, who didn't, and being angry about it.
Yeah, pretty much. During the commercials, we usually mute it when we're watching it, and then during the commercials, that's when we kind of start talking about it and see like what's up. So it should be pretty fun
and different.
Yeah, and it will give you an idea of kind of how we're going to run the NEPA Film Society meetings, because we do want to bring back the collaboration that this area is doing already, but sort of like kind of bring in and see what other creatives are doing, what projects they're working on, and maybe how we can all help each other. But before we do that, let me put this on the screen. It's in March 27th, right? I think that's the Oscars.
Yeah, I believe the Oscars are March 27th, a little late this year.
A little late, but it will be good. That way you have time to plan. And if you have nothing else going on that day, just we'll have I think it's gonna be through Zoom, right? We'll probably put something.
Probably, yeah.
We'll have updates on that.
Yeah, so without further ado, it's our pleasure to introduce our guest for today, producer, casting director, Beth Calusnitzer. Beth Calusnitzer is from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She is a producer, casting director, and all-around creative in the Lehigh Valley area. She has worked on television commercials and films such as Control, Getting Grace, Lucky Louie, The Hail Mary, Killian and the Comeback Kids, and many more. So we're going to get started and show you her demo reel.
Yeah, we'll show you her demo reel first, and then we'll bring her in. Here we go.
You just stood still.
We're starting a band. Why?
You need to have auditions. People are out there. People are moving back home, left and right. Old people in Iraq-worthy prices, dreamy kids. I mean, classic.
So when I get to the other side, do you want me to contact you?
How about we not get ahead of ourselves? How about we start with the other side of the table, see how that goes?
She's a funny kid. I mean, it's extraordinary to see how her mind works. She's dealing with this better than most people at her advanced stage.
Fascinating occupation.
This is my business. I don't have time for your pranks.
Nazareth National Bank.
Casper, I don't think it was prudent of you to invite your friends.
Why don't you watch and learn?
Lucky Louie. In 1972, 4 masked men robbed the Merchant National Bank.
This is a robbery! Okay, everybody on the ground, and I want you to bury your heads into your arms.
Dear Lord, we know you're always with us, and we ask that you bless this bank robbery today.
Uncle Donald went out the back door! Then this ain't your lucky day, Louie!
I once read that the most beautiful human deed is to be useful to others. I always took that to mean that man can only live his best life through service. It's a code I've tried to live my life by, a commitment I made long ago. I can only hope I still make you proud.
How you been? Give me an explosion. Boom! I got a purple heart, which means heart of the Heroes Club. There you go. How you like that, huh? Oh, we just got some new ones in that you were looking for.
Wow.
Yay.
That was very, very impressive. Beth, thank you so much for being on our program today.
Yeah, welcome to Scranton Talks.
We can tell you how excited we are for you to be here. I have personally met Beth at a couple of things in the Lehigh Valley back in 2019, I believe. And we go to some FIFO meetings in the Eastern PA area. And that's sort of how I got to meet you. So thank you again for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. I'm excited to be with you guys in the newness of everything. So I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. And we're trying to make it, really nice. So what we're gonna do today is it's very conversational. There's no wrong answer, right? So we're gonna start with the kind of tell the viewers and whoever's watching sort of how you got started in the filmmaking, the creative aspects of this industry.
Okay, funny. Well, it's a funny story, actually. The first film was Getting Grace, and my neighbor, actually, Sam Edwards, was executive producer on the film, and she called me out of the blue, and she's like, hey, can you and your family come to Monocacy Creek and be extras in the movie? And I was like, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. And so we went to Monocacy Creek. I found Michael Owen, who was the extras casting director for that movie at the time. Mm-hmm. And he was like running around the park crazy. And I just asked him, I said simply, I'm like, are you okay? Is everything all right? He goes, oh, I could really use an assistant. And Sam overhears this and she's like, oh, this is my neighbor, Beth. She would be great. She'll help you. And I'm like, what are you getting me into? I had no idea what she was volunteering me for. I thought I was just going to be there to like corral a couple of the extras on set. Because as you know, on a film set, it gets very chaotic. There's a lot of moving parts. Yep. And so I thought I was just going to be wrangling people for the day. But then Michael comes over with this laptop of hundreds of actors who want to be in the movie. And he's like, this is the Excel spreadsheet. Here's 600 people. You have to organize them into categories and all this stuff. So the long story short of that is that's kind of how I got thrown into it. But like in college, I took TV and film classes, but I never knew how I was going to get started in all that. That's why I did a couple other things before I got into the film part of it. But yeah, I kind of just got thrown into it. And I started with Getting Grace being the extras casting assistant, I suppose. Right. And then from that project, I went on to a few other projects. So I think one of the big things is once you start working with people in film that are like-minded and who are interested in the things that you're interested in, you will take those people with you from project to project because you're, either they're very, they're good, you work well with them. So that's kind of how I took project to project. Yeah. That's why I sort of started. So, yeah.
No, and that's very exciting to know because you are putting it right. Like a lot of us, I think it's like we're gonna get started and we're gonna go right into the creative aspect of it, but you went into the paperwork aspect of that, right? How does that tell us how does that differ now? I know we'll get into that a little bit more. You're now doing more producing, casting director, and a lot of that part, but what is the main difference within like the paperwork part of it that not a lot of us know that has to happen in order for the movie to be made?
Yes. So if I show you my office right now, all the stuff above me, I'll just bring some stuff down. I am a visual person. I am very visual. So all of my, like, this is for Purple Heart because it's purple. This is all of my notes from there. This is from a fundraiser I organized. These are like sheets of all the extras, everybody that wants to be in a movie. But I have everything tangible for me personally. This is what works. So that I can feel it, see it, smell it, touch it. And I am getting much better at the technology part of it, of spreadsheets and keeping everything organized that way. But for me, I'm more of a people person, and I think that's why I like casting so much, is because I go places and I see people and I'm like, oh, that person will be great for this role, down the road, and so I get their information and then I just make sure that I keep in touch with them. But I'm very hands-on with tangible stuff. Like I have a lot of stuff in my office, but it's organized chaos. So
no, that's really good. I know that in your background, you have worked for doing television commercials and also doing like sales. And is that how you got started? As far as like, I know you said something here, WFMZ Channel 69 in Allentown.
Yep. So when I graduated college, I went to be an account executive at Channel 69. So I sold advertising on the network. And I did commercial production with them as well. So I was involved in making commercials with them. So I kind of got a little bit of both worlds of selling the advertising, then plus being behind the scenes of actually making the commercials. So I started there. And it seems like if you look at my resume, every couple of years, like 3 or 4 years, I like to change it up a little bit. I'm like very entrepreneurial and I get stagnant. I get stagnant in, something. I'm like, oh, it's time to move on. So I went to Target Select cable advertising. And instead of selling it on Channel 69, this is the cable networks now. So it's like Lifetime, MTV, USA, TNT. I started selling advertising for them. And then I decided that I wanted to open my own business. I took a total 180 from TV, film, commercial. I also like fashion, so I opened up a dress boutique. And I had that for about 4 years until I started my family. So that's kind of the beginning part of it. But I think all the things I've done leading up to film projects has in one way, shape, or form, was a building block to get to the film.
And we'll talk a little bit about your family too as well later on, because I know that your son is sort of an actor himself, or he's been in a couple projects.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Right?
Yeah. Well, he's a sophomore at West Virginia University. He's studying. He's getting a bachelor in Bachelor of Music. I can't even think right now, but yeah. But he was in a couple projects. Yeah, I rope everybody in. I'm like, well,
no, and that's good because you did mention before, like you bring in people that you trust and that you have worked together and they do a good job. So let's bring them up to the next project. And I think that's what gives certain projects like a lot of heart, right? That the people. What is it? I know Desiree had a little bit of questions about like what it is to be on set and the projects.
Yeah. With if you want to get into details on some of the projects you worked on, I know speaking if you had your hand in some casting, I mean, were you able to kind of look at like auditioning actors, and if so, is there something that sticks out to you when you're looking at an actor or actress auditioning for a role?
Yeah, so I think casting is one of my favorite parts of all this puzzle, this big puzzle piece. I do like to see people, and then if I know like the description, like for instance, a Danny Roebuck film, he'll have a description of what he would like for each character, and I'm like, oh, I know so and so, they would be great for this. I don't even know if they can act, but can we get them in just to try, an audition? So yes, I was instrumental in setting up auditions for people to come in and audition for specific roles for his films, and I got to be behind the scenes of seeing all of that. And then also being behind the scenes of actually helping to cast or putting in input to say, oh, I think they would work out well, or I think that, so I love that part of it. I like the behind the scenes of the casting process. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
And so from all of these projects, and on social media, I'm a big advocate. I promote a lot of things. And so people will either call or they email, they'll text, they'll be like, hey, can you get me on your next audition list? So I'll just keep like a master casting list, and I'll just keep adding to it from project to project, so that everybody will always get an email saying, hey, we have another project coming up. If you're interested, here's the date and time. And, they take it from there, but at least I can give them an opportunity to keep, auditioning if they like to.
No, that's very, very nice. Just because, excuse me, we get a lot of people that are trying to be actors, young children. You pretty much probably have a variety of casting, and just there's always different types of projects. So knowing that you're out there, right, doing this, it's really helpful for whoever's watching now as well that might be wanting to get into the acting. So when you're like doing the casting, what is the thing that you look most like, experience or like eagerness to
it's like
do stuff?
I think it's a little bit of both. So my son right now is currently auditioning to get into summer stock theaters for the summer, and he wants to build his resume. I said, well, that's really important. But I said, you're going to be in front of the people. They're going to either need a cute little redhead for the role, or they're not. You're going to be right for the role, or you're not going to be right for the role. So I think it's a little bit of both. But people who come in who are prepared, energetic, excited, not be too, it's all nerve-wracking, but to try not to be too nervous, and just be yourself. I think that's really the most important thing. The resume is good, but I don't know. It's like if the person looks right for that particular role, doesn't matter if they did 10 things or one thing, they're right for the role. So I don't know.
Right, like a lot of actors get discouraged that is like, maybe I did something wrong, but like you said, sometimes it could be it's one of those things that it could be something
and then
that maybe they're
the
not right.
director and the people on production just have a certain person they're looking for. They have someone in their brain,
right,
who they're looking for.
Right.
Very cool. Well, okay, so what we're gonna do is let's break down your resume. Or your demo reel, right? I know we could get started. What's the first project that you want to talk about? And then we kind of go from there, just to see sort of like what kind of role you took in that project.
So for Getting Grace and for Killian and the Comeback Kids, I mostly did extras casting. So anybody who wrote into the email, and at the end, if we want to give my email or something, that people can get in touch with me, either if they want to be on a casting list or extras casting or for production, we can do that later. But
that'll be great. You let me know, and I'll put it on the comments here.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Getting Grace and then Killian and the Comeback Kids. So those were two feature films that were actually in movie theaters. Getting Grace premiered 2017. People can still watch it on Hulu, I believe, and any streaming service. You can just Google it probably, and it'll pop up. Then Killian and the Comeback Kids, I believe, was 2019. And that was also in theaters. So those were the extras casting. And then a few other short films that I did. One was called In This Moment, where I was associate producer. And then we did another short film called Who's There and Purple Heart with Michael Walsh. He's a director local in the area.
Okay.
So I did a producing with that, and then producing with this movie here, Lucky Louie, and the Hail Mary, which is the most recent project that I just wrapped as a producer.
Okay.
So,
and right now I'm showing a montage of some of the films that you work for. I think we have Getting Grace here, maybe Lucky Louie as well.
Yeah.
Just so people can get an idea, like, of the behind the scenes are always very, very exciting to see what happens, right?
Right. And it's really interesting, I think, if people come on set and they see what goes into like a 2-minute part of the movie, and it takes hours and hours and hours to do. They get a real good idea of, wow, what it takes to make a movie and all that goes into it. I think is really cool to see.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I know that Getting Grace, Getting Grace and Uncle, I'm sorry, not Uncle. I keep calling it Uncle.
Lucky Louie.
You want
we're during the pandemic, correct? Like, how was that experience?
Getting Grace was in 2017, so that was.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The Hail Mary.
The Hail Mary, yeah. We were supposed to do the Hail Mary. In fact, we had the press conference for the Hail Mary in March. It was March 11th.
Wow.
And then we shut down, I think, like the 13th or something like that. So we were just doing pre-production for the Hail Mary. We were supposed to shoot July and August of 2020. So that got pushed a year. But in the meantime, I met this other director, Michael Walsh, and he had a smaller project because the Hail Mary was a huge undertaking. It was just a million things had to come together perfectly. And we just couldn't do it for the pandemic. But I did shoot a short film called Who's There? And Purple Heart. Well, actually, Purple Heart was during the pandemic. Yeah.
So you have and I know that one was the last one that we showed on the demo reel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here once I get this, but you can go right ahead while I do that.
So, it was a smaller project, and people were comfortable getting back out there. It was like right around July, August. Things were we were like in the bubble of things were kind of opening up, and then they closed back up after we finished. We kind of hit a good bubble, but it was only a 5-day shoot, I believe, and it was in Hellertown, and all of our locations were like in one place, so it was pretty simple. Not simple, but it was easier than and we did great. I mean, we were all ready to get out and be creative again, and we took all the precautions necessary with COVID, and we did all the temperature checks and checking in, and we tried to social distance, obviously masks, but we did it, and no one got sick, and it was a great experience. And I'm really happy with this project, how it came out. Sometimes you work on a project and nothing comes of it. Like, where did it go? We did all this work, and now what happened to it? I'm very thankful that the last couple projects that I've been working on, they all came to fruition. So it's fun to see all the hard work pay off.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's very cool to see that, especially through hard times like now. I mean, it's just we just didn't know what was happening, and I remember seeing that you guys were like doing stuff, and I was like, that's exciting,
Yeah,
it keeps people busy, and it's also because we are, most of us are freelancers. Most of us go from job to job because we are creatives. So just being able to see that you guys were putting out a movie, like that is encouraging. That we are a Thai community, Lehigh Valley, Lackawanna, like over here, like we're trying to build what you have as well in the Lehigh Valley. Tell me maybe a little bit more about the Lehigh Valley and the filming community there.
Okay, so what I would point people to the direction of a film consortium called FIFO. It's located in Easton. We have meetings once a month. I think it's the first Tuesday of every month at Two River Brewery. Right now we're still on Zoom, but we normally are in person. And the good thing about this is that you can go to these meetings and have an idea, and you'd be like, oh, I need a sound person, or I need 3 extras to be whatever. So if you're looking for crew, if you're looking for actors, writers, directors, producers, you'll have a good amount of people at this meeting that you can tap into and network with. Another group is in Allentown, and they're called Route 22. It's the same idea.
We know Route 22, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's the same idea of Allentown, and then the other one is in Easton. But it's nice because you can go to different meetings at different times, and sometimes it's the same people, but a lot of times it's different people. So you can do a lot of networking and see what people are working on.
I'm gonna put it on the just the message in the FIFO, just so people know sort of what.
Yeah, it's great. It's like every region has their own little groups to bring the communities together, and we're all interconnected because we know Don and everyone at Route 22 Film Works, and we're all meeting each other and connecting with each other, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that's what Danny did when he came into town to do Getting Grace. He was like, okay, who's local? And then he heard about FIFO, and really he casted a lot of people local, but also behind the scenes crew. A lot were local, and we've been using them for each project ever since. So they're getting a lot of work.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, since you brought up Danny Roebuck, if you wanted to talk to everyone out there about if they're not sure who he is and like how you got involved and how you met him.
Yeah.
So well, before you do that, how about we do that? Let me do the Lucky Louie, and then that way. Actually, no. Let's talk about him. Then I'm gonna show the Lucky Louie trailer because I know we have it. That way, people kind of have a visual to it.
We'll segue into Lucky Louie.
We'll segue.
Good question.
Okay.
Good question.
So if you don't know who Danny Roebuck is, you can Google him. He's on IMDb. He's been in I think over 300 some credits to his name. He's a character actor, and you'll recognize him from movies The Fugitive, U.S. Marshals, Late Shift. He's been on TV shows Matlock, Lost, Glee, a million things. So when you see him, you're like, oh, that's him. Oh, I get it now. Because he has that face. He just has that face that people remember. So I did meet him first in 2017 on the set of Getting Grace. That very first day, I was running around with Michael Owen trying to wrangle the extras. I met him that day. And ever since then, from Getting Grace, I started to do post-production with him as far as advertising, marketing. I ran a premiere. It was actually a fundraiser for the local community theaters in our area, Monopco, Pennsylvania Playhouse, Civic Theater, and the Charter Art School. We did a fundraiser for these four organizations. Where we showed the movie Getting Grace, and then we raised money for them, and then we also got to show the movie, and people, it was like a win-win, but I organized that for him. But from Getting Grace, helping out with the post-production and the advertising, and then that led into In This Moment was a short film that I did, and then it led into Killian and the Comeback Kids, and then it led into a few other things that I was working on. But so Danny kind of started this whole thing here. And, he's trying to come back to the Lehigh Valley because it's so beautiful. It's so, the people are generous. Everybody's very accommodating, like with food and catering and housing. He comes back to the Lehigh Valley because he loves the Lehigh Valley. He's from the Lehigh Valley. And everybody's just been very generous for filmmaking. Anybody who's a filmmaker coming to the Lehigh Valley, I think he paved the road for them, which is nice.
Yeah,
no, that is very nice. So what I'll do right now is I'll show the Lucky Louie trailer. Then we can talk a little bit about that specific project, so people know more about. So let me remove this, and then here we go.
In 1972, 4 masked men robbed the Merchant National Bank.
This is a robbery! Okay, everybody on the ground, and I want you to bury your heads into your arms and close your eyes.
And for 50 years, the case has gone unsolved.
Don't take all the money!
It became one man's obsession.
Detective Wilbert Moser?
Not anymore.
You're retired. Why is this case so important to you?
Well, you'll understand when you get closer to your final glory.
And his nightmare.
Don't move or I'll blow your head off!
Look. He had the dream.
I decided that if I stopped obsessing about it so much, maybe the dreams would stop. And then
this lovely grad student shows up.
I'm Alex D'Ambrosio. I'm a graduate student at Bucknell. I was assigned the merchant bank robbery for my thesis project.
Here's trouble. I told you she was going to get him, and look, she's got him.
And it will take an unlikely group to help them solve the case.
How do you all know Mr. Moser?
We're criminals.
All of you?
All of us in our little crew. Me, Pete, Peyton, Lincoln. Wilbert arrested all of us.
We were criminals.
You on the straight and narrow now?
By the grace of God.
I just figured something out. So you hang out with us so we can solve your cases.
To solve the case, it will take no ordinary plan.
I want to rob a bank.
This is a robbery! And now I gotta run?
Yes!
Go ahead, make my day.
And perhaps some help from above.
Dear Lord, we know you're always with us, and we ask that you bless this bank robbery today.
The creators of Getting Grace bring you a comedy mystery where it will take faith to solve the crime of the century.
Uncle Donald went out the back door! Then this ain't your lucky day, Louie!
Lucky Louie.
Dude, we're gonna be late!
Hey, I told you guys I'd help you rob the bank. I will not get a traffic ticket.
Very cool.
Well, funny.
You know, and they are beautifully shot films,
Mhm.
you know, as well. Like that's very nice as well. I've seen some of the work, and I think I know some of the people that have worked on the camera and like the crew. But I know Desiree had questions about this particular one as far as the producing and the casting, just specifically on what you worked on for this project.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to talk about getting away from the casting side, like what was like being a producer, because I know you've had experience of being like associate producer, unit production. So if you want to get into that, what it's like being a producer.
Yeah. So producing, the way I describe it is it's problem solving all day long. And I think I got into producing because I guess I was organized with things. Like I said, I'm very hands-on, so I have everything always in a folder with me. But producing, I got involved because I just like to organize things, and I like to put people certain places, and a lot of times it works out. But producing, you're organizing a lot of different departments. So you're overseeing set design, you're overseeing wardrobe, casting, crew, craft services. Like everything has to be in a certain organized chaos mess. And that's what a producer does organizes and oversees all of those departments. So you're very in touch with each department head of each department. And then you're just basically making sure everything kind of works seamlessly as possible. And a lot of times it doesn't always work that way because something always comes up while you're on set. But yeah, I do like the producer aspect of it. It's very challenging, especially with this last project we did, the Hail Mary. It was a lot of work and a lot of moving pieces, but somehow it always comes together. And it's going to be a beautiful film, so I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So I don't know if any.
Was there any specific what was the biggest challenge you ever faced in anything that you worked on? What was the biggest thing that stuck out in your mind? Like, oh my gosh, how did I get through that?
I know. Oh, so many things, Desiree.
We know.
But I think the most challenging thing is just being prepared. You can over prepare and come up with plan A and plan B, because a lot of times the plan A doesn't work, and thank God you should always have a plan B. And a quick funny story about that was for when we were filming Purple Heart, we had this amazing Admiral's uniform coming from New York, from this rental company, and it was gorgeous because it had all the regalia and both bells and whistles. So the actor comes into town and we just leave it hanging in the director's house, and no one really thought to do a wardrobe to fit for wardrobe. We never did a fitting because he gave us our size, his size. It was only one actor in the whole movie. He gave us his size. We're like, well, there's a, we just never thought of it. So I had in the back of my mind though, well, let's get a plan B. So I was calling around, don't drop me a line in Allentown. They were going out of business. They had one Admiral costume for $75. We had to buy it. We couldn't rent it. And I said, can you just hold that for me? Just, I don't know, in case. Well, we get to set. He tries on his Admiral costume and it doesn't fit. And then, and we're about to shoot his scene with the Admiral. And I'm like, ah! So one of our production assistants had to run over to Allentown, pick up this second uniform and bring it back. So we weren't too far behind, but it was in the middle of the summer and it was so hot. Everybody was not happy.
Right.
But you just kind of have to move with the punches and just keep things moving. But that was just an example of.
Yeah. It's
just to be able to
prepared so much.
Yeah.
And as far as Lucky Louie, what we just saw, what was your role in that particular one? Just if you want to share as far as what you did.
So I started out with the casting. So I organized all of the actors. This was a challenging film as far as because it was present time and back in the 70s. And we had multiple characters playing each part from each time period. If that makes sense. Like a younger person would play, in the 70s, and then a medium, and then there was 3 different people playing a lot of the roles. So it was very challenging so one of my jobs was telling people when they were actually needed on set, which was challenging in itself because it's like, okay, are we doing the 70s now? Are we present time? I mean, we have it all storyboarded out. We have it all prepared of what we're supposed to be filming each day. But that was very challenging. That was one of my roles. So I organized the casting for that. Just making sure all the production assistants show up where they're supposed to be, showing up on time, overseeing that. Also, I did a lot with craft services this time. So just making sure our food was coming at a timely manner if I had to go pick anything up. Just everything that you see on a set, just making sure everybody is where they're supposed to be. Calling cast for to be on set, or if they have to stay in holding. Just everything. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so much.
Hey, how does it feel like you because you're more of the like making things happen, right? Not necessarily shooting the camera or editing, things like that. So it's a completely different mindset.
Yeah.
But how do you feel when like a project is done and you see it completed and you're like, wow, like, how does it feel?
Oh, it's crazy because you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, remember that day when it was 900 degrees and everybody had to wear their full wardrobe? And remember how long that scene took? And, you just remember all these things.
You see it with different eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
And then when you see it and it only like something that should have been something that was like 30 seconds in the movie took, like I said, hours and hours and hours. And you're like, that's it. That's all that, and a lot of times when I'm casting extras, sometimes, unfortunately, their scenes are cut due to time or whatever with the, so they're like, I stayed there all day and you only got me in for like 1 second of the movie. I'm like, I can't help it, but that's the luck of the draw with being a background actor. So go ahead. That was with the background actors. I feel like they're like my people. And I'm very good with them, and they, we just have a good relationship. And so when they are on set, I make sure that they are where they need to be. If they're, so
you develop a relationship, which is nice because, like you said, you feel bad that maybe they didn't make it into the final one. How do you deal with that? In the sense, like if someone says, "Oh, like I'm not even in it," like what happened? Like I'm sure it's different, but.
Well, I prepare them when they get to the set and say, now look, because, they're going to be 10, 12 hours just sitting there sometimes, and maybe they won't even get in. So I just prepare them that way. And I say, this is the scene we're going to be shooting, but if you're going to be in the background, but you might not all be seen. Just everybody has to know that from the get-go. so that I try to tell them that, and then when they see themselves, they're like, "Oh, why did you see me? I was behind the tree," and they were only on for like a second, but I'm like, "I saw you," and they're then they get excited. But everybody who's been on a set that I've done to be a background actor, they've all enjoyed themselves because they do get to see the behind the scenes of everything that goes into making a movie. So they have an appreciation for it. I feel like when they're done.
Yeah, no, and I think that's important. Just the appreciation will bring in maybe someone that didn't know how it worked, like you said.
Yeah.
Seeing the behind the scenes, maybe they'll spark an interest on, oh, maybe I want to be the camera person, maybe I want to do that. So what we're gonna do now is we have a few comments. So a couple of questions, maybe. Let me see. Oh, JB Earl says also a cat that had to act on cue. Tell us about that.
about me acting on cue?
I don't know what he means. Also a cat that had to act on cue.
Oh, yes. So for Lucky Louie, there was a cat in the one scene, and we couldn't find the cat was in the house, but we couldn't find it. And we were literally ready to go shoot the scene, and we couldn't find the cat. Well, we finally find the cat, but yet you have to deal with the cat, and it wasn't the nicest cat, honestly. Like we were, he was hissing and all this. But and Danny, who was in the scene with the cat, is not an animal person. He won't tell you that, but it's true. So it was hard to deal with that. But that was funny, JB, when that happened.
Do you work with like animals a lot as well? Like, have you had that experience in your films?
Not me personally, just with this cat. For Lucky Louie, I'm trying to think. We didn't have one for Getting Grace or no, none of the other short films that I've worked on either. So this was a first, but it was just funny when we couldn't find the cat. No one could find. We're all looking all over. We're all like, "Here, kitty." It was just funny. Everybody from the crew.
Oh, well, that's funny. The other question that we have is, I don't know if you already touched on this, but what advice do you give actors on getting experience?
Oh, okay.
I think you mentioned it in the beginning, but maybe if you can touch more on that.
I would say either for actors or crew or anybody who wants to get involved in a film should just get involved. Do it for the experience of it. And you may do a few projects that you're going to be volunteering your time for. But I say get involved and just do it because you never know what it could lead to. Like it might not be paid project in the very beginning, but it could lead to paid projects. So the budgets of these projects is always the bummer of them. But I would just say get involved in any project that you can, even if it's for a 1 day shoot or something. I actually just had a couple of kids from NYU reach out to me this week, and they were looking for someone to act in their film. And typically, like student projects, you can't pay people anyway. I said, I'll try. I'll put out an email. And so a couple people got back to the director who's at NYU, and he's going to do the project. And it's not pay, but it's, he's going to get experience, and he's going to, brush up on his acting chops, and he could put it on his demo reel. So, and he'll get a credit for it. So
that's great.
Oh, very cool. I think they took my question because basically what I ask at the end of the show is what advice will you give to someone just starting in the industry? But I'm going to switch it up then just because it was already answered. I'm going to say if there was something that you could tell your younger self, right? That's always hard. What you would have done different as far as the industry, not anything else.
Yeah. Oh, geez. When I was little, I always saw myself doing something either on stage or in front of a camera because I was always acting and doing shows and putting on a show for friends and family. So I always saw myself doing something like that. So when this came about, it kind of all fit into place. Now, at first I thought I was going to be in front of the camera and, doing more of the acting side of it. But I found out quickly that I am better off behind the camera. I'm better off behind the scenes. And a funny quick story about that was the day I was at Monocacy Creek for Getting Grace. I was supposed to be a background actor with my kids. And I'm used to being on stage, like very big and theatrical. but film is very tight and small, and you're looking through the camera lens, and I'm in the background going, no, don't stop. Like I was trying to tell my kids not to jump into the river or whatever the creek, whatever the scene was. And Danny goes, cut. And I never met him at this point. He's like, you stop doing that. Whatever you're doing, stop being so big. Bring it down a notch. So I got in trouble the very first time. I was like, no more. I'm fine. I'll be behind the scenes from now on.
No, and you make a good point, because we always put that theater and filming, even though they're still acting, they're completely different when it comes to how to project, how to do specific mannerism for that. Did you say you did theater as well, or?
So I did theater in high school and in college, and then after college, that's how I met my husband. We did a show together, and so we've done some community theater together. Yeah, so I'm better on stage, but even then, even now, I don't know, I get nervous. I get too nervous. I'd rather be behind the scenes doing wardrobe or set design or something,
Yeah,
exactly. Very cool. Well, we're gonna close up the program, but I know just before, what is your email address that where people can contact you? That way I can put it on the screen.
Okay. It's just my name. I don't know why I picked this. I don't know who else has the name Clausnitzer, because none of them were available. I'm like, who the heck am I related to? But it's my whole name, Elizabeth Clausnitzer. I'll write in here too.
Okay.
Lausnitzer at Gmail.
At Gmail. Let me just make sure that I didn't misspell it. Oh, let me grab it from here.
Mm-hmm.
And so what can people do? Maybe if there's someone out there that wants to reach out, or like what should they say?
So they should, that's my personal email, but I'll definitely get it from there. So if they're interested in being an extra or a background actor, they can email me and say, hey, I saw you with Luz and Desiree on their podcast, and I'd like to hear about more future audition opportunities. That would be for casting or extras, or even if they're in the crew, on a crew, and they're like, hey, I would like to shadow someone in the camera department. I can put them into the production emails, and I can forward that to who handles that for our company. So I didn't really mention, but Danny Roebuck came to town. He started this 501c3 called A Channel of Peace.
Yes.
And within that umbrella, this is where we're making all these faith-filled family entertainment movies. So Lucky Louie and Hail Mary were the two that are under that umbrella. Getting Grace was prior to him starting this non-for-profit, but we're looking to produce not just his films, but other films that fit the mold of what he's trying to do with the non-for-profit. So if there are people out there who are like, hey, I have a script idea or a story idea, or I even have a movie that's produced, you can forward that to me as well, and I can forward it on to him.
Very cool. And I know they're on Facebook as well, like as far as the social media, so they can find it this way.
Yep. A Channel of Peace Facebook page, and then also our website is achannelofpeace.org.
Okay, perfect. Let's put that up there just so in case somebody is there. You go. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
And we'll put it up on the screen. Again, we'll put all this up as well, like on the chat or anywhere. That way people can just go and check it out for it. I'll put your email one more time, and then we'll close out the program. But again, anyone who wants to stay connected and just let Beth know, believe me when I say this, she will make it happen. Maybe not now, maybe not in 2 weeks, but if she has your name, she'll reach out if there's something that is specific for what you're looking for. She's been a great advocate for that, and I can vouch for that for sure. So it's very, very exciting to see that there are people out there that are looking to help local filmmakers, even if they have a little bit of experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I also wanted to say, if there's any young people that are watching, for Hail Mary, we had a huge internship program on the set, and they had to be interviewed and be accepted into our internship program, but they did receive college credit for doing so, and they got to be on set of a feature film, which is pretty
Nice.
cool. And they got credit for that for their college. But yeah, I would recommend them just to become part of any project that they can, just to get the hands-on experience.
Right.
And then you never know where it could go from there. Because there are some interns that we worked with that I will definitely work with again to come to the next project, because a lot of them were really, really good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So definitely reach out. I mean, even if you just want to say hi, I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I'm interested in this. Just reach out. That way she has you on her radar, and that's all it takes sometimes,
Yeah.
just to open.
And what I'll say with that too is I don't mind people contacting me repetitively. I mean, if they're stalking, then no, but I don't mind if they keep reaching out, because I'm like, oh yeah, that person keeps getting in touch with me, and they're interested in doing something, and sometimes things may fall through the cracks, not often, but sometimes they do.
Right.
And if they keep their name in front of me, it just is very helpful. So I don't mind them, reaching out.
That's very good to know. Very good to know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Beth. I'm going to
thank you,
close
Beth.
out the program with just make sure you reach out to her. And again, everyone who's watching here, we're doing this for you, for us, for pretty much anyone that wants to be creative. Scranton Talks is part of the Independent Creative Film Creative Hub, and we are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, pretty much anywhere you can find us. Please let me put this up here again. Just make sure you go to our creativehub.com, where you can actually see previous talks of Scranton Talks. You can watch films. We have a streaming platform. We can, even go to the forums, sort of like a little bit like Facebook, where you can post if you have, a need for something specific for your film, or if you just want to chat or connect with local filmmakers. So it's open to anyone, and it is free. Desiree and I take care of making sure that it's updated. So make sure you don't forget about that. And again, and I think we have of course we do. We have the podcast on Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
Spotify, yep.
So if you can
all the talks go up there in audio format that we've done previously. But thank you all again for joining us. And to those filmmakers out there, if you're in the industry in some fashion and you would love to share your story with us, send us a message on our social media accounts, because we're on Facebook, on the Independent Film Creative Hub, and on Instagram. So send us a direct message. We'll get back to you and work out a good month or time that works for you, so you can be on one of our talks. But we'll leave you with Beth's reel for those who might have missed it if you just joined us late, so you can take a look at it. And we'll see you again soon next time.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Beth, again.
Thank
you
so much. Thank you for having me. Nice meeting you, Desiree. Thanks.
Nice meeting you too. Yeah.
Okay. Hope to see you in the future.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You just stood still.
We're starting a band. Why?
You need to have auditions. People are out there. People are moving back home, left and right. Old people in Iraq-worthy crisis, dreamy kids. I mean, classic.
So when I get to the other side, do you want me to contact you?
How about we not get ahead of ourselves? How about we start with the other side of the table, see how that goes?
She's a funny kid. I mean, it's extraordinary to see how her mind works. She's dealing with this better than most people at her advanced stage.
Fascinating occupation.
This is my business. I don't have time for your pranks.
Nazareth National Bank.
I don't think it was prudent of you to invite your friends.
Why don't you watch and learn?
Lucky Louie. In 1972, 4 masked men robbed the Merchant National Bank.
This is a robbery! Okay, everybody on the ground, and I want you to bury your heads into your arms.
Dear Lord, we know you're always with us, and we ask that you bless this bank robbery today.
Uncle Donald went out the back door!
Then this ain't your lucky day, Louie!
I once read that the most beautiful human deed is to be useful to others. I always took that to mean that man can only live his best life through service. It's a code I've tried to live my life by, a commitment I made long ago. I can only hope I still make you proud.
How you been? Give me an explosion. Boom! I got a purple heart, which means heart of the Heroes Club. There you go. How you like that, huh? Oh, we just got some new ones in there you were looking for.